beautiful souls. We'll be making this house trifold box. I'm only going to show how to assemble this. You will take care of your designer paper and your decorating. This is just a tutorial on how to put this together. So we'll be making these openings. We'll be making these pockets. It's a 3D pocket. And even this 3D pocket that has a shorter gusset than these, so it's less deeper or less deep. So we're going to start off with 3 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock. This is this brand is the Pen and Gear from Walmart. It says 110 pound, so it's not quite 110 pound compared to the Michaels brand, but it's a much heavier weight than the 65 pound. Our first score mark will be at 2 1/4. So this is my 2 1/4 here. That's all the scoring we'll be doing on that one. The next one will be at 2 inches. And write down 2 1/4 and 2 inches. That's very important. Then the last one, we are going to score at 1 inch. Rotate your paper 180 degrees. Score again at 1 inch. For our first pocket, we're going to need a cut cardstock at 7.5 inches by 6 3/8. Okay. On the 7.5 inch, we're going to score at 1/2 inch, 3/4, 6 7/8, and 7 1/8. We're going to rotate. We're going to score at 1/2 inch and 3/4. For our next pocket, we're going to need 2 of these at 9 inches by 7 inches. On the 9-inch side, we're going to score at 1/2 inch, 1 3/8, 7 3/4, and 8 5/8. We're going to rotate it. It's on the 7-inch side. We're going to score at 1/2 inch and 1 3/8. Remember, you're going to do this twice. Okay, so this is going to be the last one. This is for the roof or the flap. You're going to need cardstock cut at 6 7/8 by 8.5. Okay, so on the 8.5, you're going to score at 2 1/4 by 4.5. So for our pockets, including the one that has a slimmer gusset, we're going to make these cuts. Okay, and I will use the smaller one, and then I will do the last one, the big one. So you're going to make these marks inside those boxes or rectangles, and you're going to cut this all the way up to the last score line up here. And you're going to cut these two away completely, and just this one. And you're left with this. And I am going to angle it. So I'm cutting off a little bit of the cardstock, just a slither. And the same thing with this side. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it at an angle. It's going to be completely cut off. Again, I'm going to cut a sliver. And this one as well. Okay, so you're left with this. We're going to do the same thing with the one that has the bigger gusset. This one is even easier to see. That's going to be it for those cut lines. Let's start the assembly. Okay, remember I said to mark them. You have to mark them, and there's a reason for that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start folding and burnishing all of the score marks. And I'm only going to cut an angle on the one that has the 2 score lines, the 1 inch. And I'm also going to cut at an angle. Okay. And now we're going to glue. You can use your dry adhesive, your double-sided tape. I'm going to use wet glue because I think it's going to secure it better, in my opinion. Okay, so you're going to glue. This one is the 2 inch. The 2 inch side will go on the right, and the 2 1/4 will go on the left. So it will close like this. Okay? And the reason why we have the 2 1/4 is because there's a pocket on this side, and we need that extra room. So I'm going to flip this way so I can see the score line, because you want to glue underneath the score line, but you want it to be flush on top of here and on the bottom you want it to be flush. You're going to do the same thing to this side. Add your glue and glue it flush. But make sure you're gluing it away from the score line. And there you have the beginning of your house trifold box. You're going to draw these lines 3/16 on each end. This is the back. This is the part that will be glued to the back of the box. This is the longer flap here is for the front, then this is the middle, and this is the back. Okay, so you are gonna cut that this way, right up until that 3/16 line. And then you're just gonna cut at at an angle, you're going to cut that away up until that line. Okay? That is your hangover. These edges are for the hangover that you're going to see over the box. And as you can see, this edge matches with this edge here. Okay? You are going to glue this down to that, making sure, if anything, I would do it this way, where you can actually see and you're not gluing the part that actually bends. But I'm not going to glue that yet. We're not going to do that. I just wanted to give you that guide. So the reason why I don't like gluing this on yet is because at this point you want to add your decorative papers, where it's what you're going to put on the top and what's going to go on the inside. You don't have to add any decorative papers here because this is going to be completely covered. Okay, now let's find, okay, so this is the 2/4 inch side. So for the 2/4 inch side, you're going to glue the pocket box that has it's a 1/4 inch gusset, okay? And you will also start adding your decorative papers to the front here. You can do all the outside parts, the front and the sides, the back. Okay, so you can go ahead and do that now. So I want to share before I continue on that when you cut these layering pieces, I have two here. I have a pink one underneath and this yellow one on top, and I will leave in the description panel where these papers are from. Okay, and on the first box that you saw, it's from the same website. So when you cut these off, you're going to get these pieces here, and these are great for adding to the sides because you're going to have you're going to need 4 for the outside and for the inside. So use these parts that get cut off. That way you're not wasting any paper. Here's a tip, because I forgot to do this on the first one that I also created. Do not add your back layering paper until you glue this down. So after you've layered your roof or the flap, then you glue it down, and then you glue your back piece on top of that to hide it. So I'm going to have to shorten this and add some lace to that, you know, to cover it up. But yes, I do prefer it to go under the layering paper. Okay, so I originally wasn't going to show the layering pieces, but I remembered that there's a certain way we got to insert the pockets, and I need the layering pieces to show you that. So I just went ahead and just go ahead to, I can't talk. So I just went ahead and layered everything, including the inside. So how do we install these pockets? I already did it here, and I did it here to save some time. I will do the last one together. Okay, so I went ahead and also layered the pockets before I put it, before we assemble them, because we get better pressure if it's completely flat. Once we assemble it, this is gonna, you know, bend too much, and we don't want to risk ripping the score lines, and we're not going to get a very good adhesion. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is glue these two flaps here under this flap here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use hot glue so that it can glue up pretty quickly. And I'm not going to glue it close to the edge of that score line because I had tapered this part. Keeping it as straight as possible, where it's not going too much this way or it's going too much, you know, inside. Okay. All right, so now here we go. This is how we're going to glue this to the to this first fold. Okay. Now I'm going to take this out of the way because I don't want to risk adding glue to that. So I'm going to see where this begins or it ends, and I'm going to add glue from that point, and then as well as in here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and continue adding glue all the way around. Okay, and I'm going to take my bone fold and I'm going to just put it there. I'm going to stick this in all the way where I can't go in any further. And I am going to add a dab of glue, hot glue here to help me out. Same thing on the other side. This was just to help me, you know, like bring up the paper. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to use my ruler. Okay, so once you have that, and then you're going to glue it down. And you want to make sure that the pockets are inside that fold. Because you don't want it to interfere when you have to close it and open it like that. And the reason why I do it this way is so that I don't see the flaps that are folded in from the pockets out here. That looks a little bit tacky to me. So it is installed. They're all installed. And then as far as this is concerned, I am going to glue this down. I'm not going to do it here because I don't have to. You already know not to glue this part down until you glue this in place. After you layered it, you know, go ahead and decorate it. And as far as the closure is concerned, I don't recommend magnets because I tried to do it and it just doesn't come out right for me. So I'm going to pretty much do the same thing that I did to the first box, where I just added a closure, lace closure here, and I added some decorative elements to cover that closure. And then this one goes all the way in around, but it's inside, so it's not even seen. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing to this one. So there it is. Let me know if you make one. I would love to know that. Let me know if this was fairly easy to follow. To me, it was easy. I don't know, everybody else might be, you know, might not think it's easy. So thank you for joining me today. Let's share, be fair, be filled with love, and love one another. Take good care, everybody.